I like to subscribe, do all that, you know what time it is. It's Netflix time. This movie's called Bruised. 2 hours long, spoiler alert, let's just get it. So it starts off with this lady by the name of Jackie Justice, played by Halle Berry. She's in the house doing maid work, and ends up fucking it up when she almost attacks a kid. And it's literally a 2-second cameo, a very brief cameo. But you remember the cop from Power? Yeah, that's her. So she's going back to the bodega. She's over in Newark. Yeah, she in Brick City, New Jersey and all that. And dudes recognize her, she's Jackie Justice. She used to go by the Pretty Bull. So this is the thing, she used to be a UFC fighter, she was 10-0, she ended up taking a terrible loss. It was so bad that when she was losing the fight, she climbed over the fucking cage and basically said she had enough. And that's how she became 10-1. That happened about 4 years ago. So basically, she comes back home, she gets a drink on. She's been hiding some of it in Kleenex bottles. Oh, she also lives with this dude named Desi. See, Desi's a boyfriend, but at one point in time, he was a manager too. So apparently he hears about the incident with the cleaning. And he gets pissed off because he's got to hawk off a chain to pay for the kid's phone that she broke. Then he berates her about all the clients that he had that he tossed to the wayside just to train her. Basically saying that he threw all that away and she never wants to be in the ring again. It's a toxic relationship nonetheless, but he ends up still giving it a business. Not for very long, but he does. Later on, she goes to the bar to get some food and drink. Then Desi pulls up and takes her to a spot, says it's a surprise. In which Jackie's about to get immediately pissed off because he takes her to an underground fight scene. She's like, really, Desi? Really? And then, of course, people start noticing her. They remember she's Jackie Justice. They kind of clown her about how she ran away in that losing fight. Y'all know how it goes. Now, Jackie was trying to get the fuck out of there until the werewolf got in her face. The werewolf's the fighter that just won their fight. She beat some chick. And it spits liquor in her face. The ultimate disrespect. So Jackie knows she not getting out of this without a fight, so she might as well just bring it on. The werewolf puts up a fight, but Jackie ends up headbutting her ass to death. She ain't playing that shit. Then this promoter by the name of Immaculate comes into the car, gives Jackie his number, and wants to get her back in the ring, back in UFC life. She didn't want to do it, but reluctantly she does take his card. But as they're on their way back home, Jackie's mother pops up, and she drops his kid at her doorstep named Manny. Now apparently he saw his father get shot in the head, done deal, dead as shit. And the Mexican chick he was living with for like 6 years brings her back to Jackie. So Manny is really Jackie's son. But why wasn't Manny with Jackie in the first place? So Jackie just stunned that her kid is up here. Desi don't want to have nothing to do with it. But basically, they're going to take care of him. Apparently, he hasn't spoken a word since the incident. He hasn't told nobody nothing. Not cops, nobody. Jackie can't even take it. She just goes out the house and just starts running. But then she comes back to put a cover over Manny after he falls asleep on the couch. She goes in the kitchen and starts drinking again. Next morning, Desi fixes him breakfast. If you consider a burger with Doritos and ketchup breakfast. Anyway, Jackie next day ends up taking up Immaculate's offer. She's about to go meet her trainer. I know that's not him, but he reminds me of Ronaldo Ray so much. Well, anyway, he tells her to go upstairs and gets her to her trainer, Bobby. Now, Bobby's been practicing calming techniques. I think she studies yoga and many other things. So right out the back, this comes as a surprise to Jackie, so she's like, okay. So basically, she's got to wait and finish for her meditation. And it is time for training. Now, keep in mind, she's definitely got to get back in shape. Hell, she's been out the game for 4 years. The Immaculate comes and watches a sparring match with this lady named Kay. He basically tells her some good shit to get her hyped up, but he basically set her up so Jackie can get mad and she can see the full potential of what she does when she's mad. Bobby's like, I know what you did. You ain't slick. She comes back home in the house with a pizza. Desi on the couch sleep. He's supposed to be watching after Manny. The fuck, man? But Manny didn't even want to be out there. Instead, he's just chilling in the bathroom. She tries talking to him about a lot of stuff, but he doesn't even respond. He ain't eating no pizza, nothing. Then she goes through his phone. You can tell how happy he is, or was at that point. Then she scrolls through this video of him and his dad. And they play that Will Smith song, Just the Two of Us. Guess that was his favorite song back then. Obviously, Jackie's getting all emotional about the whole thing. My question is, why did he get shot? Did he get shot by a straight bullet? Was he doing some unnecessary shit? Like, what the fuck was going on? Later on, Jackie's gotta get some training done, so she takes Manny along with her. She gotta learn her techniques all over again. Honestly, she's getting a little bit tossed around in the ring. Then afterwards, she gets some lessons from the coach. Later on, Jackie goes back to her mom's house. She's trying to get some papers, like Manny's birth certificate, stuff like that, so he can go to school. And we can see mom's been on some shit throughout the years. She gets the papers into the school, but it's going to take him a couple of weeks to process it. And then Manny's trying to get her attention for some reason, but she's talking to the lady. Problem was, he was trying to get her attention because he ended up peeing on himself. I'm thinking to myself, he has probably had a lot of traumatic things happen to him up to this point. But he's 6 years old. He could have easily went to the bathroom. It was right around the corner. So she was late getting to Bobby because of all that. But seeing as Bobby knows the situation now, she ain't tripping. Only reason she was really tripping because Immaculate was in the building. So she's basically watching after Manny while Mommy's getting some training done. Later on, Bobby takes Manny to the park to practice him Zen techniques, practicing a chi. Then she teaches him a breathing technique when he's scared too. Meanwhile, Immaculate's talking to Jackie in the locker room, and he gets her a flyweight championship match against the lady killer, Lucia Chavez. She's like, you serious? Word? Like, fuck yeah, alright, you know I'm in. He's like, yeah, man, this is your shot. Yo, it's been 4 years. It's time for you to get back at it. Meanwhile, Bobby drops Manny off back at the house to Desi, and Desi's wondering where the fuck Jackie's at. Jackie was out a little bit later because she was so happy about the news. She ended up buying a little Casio piano for Manny. Or a keyboard. And she finds out Manny locked himself in the bathroom. What the heck has Desi been doing? He comes back out throwing a temper tantrum. Then he starts yelling at him, saying he's gonna toss him out in the street. Like, the fuck? Then he tells him to go make himself a sandwich. So he goes in the kitchen, throws some hot dogs in the pot, throws the buns in the toaster. But he had everything turned up on full blast and totally forgot about it. And while they in the background arguing, Manny ends up playing his piano. Damn near almost burns the whole house down, not because of the hot dogs, but more so because of the toasters the oven buns in the toaster. Then they finally come back in the kitchen. Then he spazzes out on Manny, he tells him to clean it up. Hey damn dude, what the fuck was you gonna do, hit a kid? Then she cleans up the mess and she says, go back in there and just play on your piano. And while she's cleaning up, she throws away all the liquor stash, including her own, and basically just cleans up the house. She getting her head straight. Meanwhile, Desi leaves out the house, he comes home with Ferg. He finally gets back in the house stumbling. Manny's on the couch asleep. Jackie's sitting there chilling. She looking like, yeah, she had enough of this shit. He gives her some flowers and then goes to bed. More training. Then she picks up Manny from school, they go grocery shopping. It cost $23, she only had $20. She had to put the tampons back. Then Bobby comes by the house, so Jackie and them can look at tapes of the undefeated lady killer, Lucia Chavez. Then Desi comes back in the house drunk, tripping again. Bobby's like, alright, it's time for me to dip. We'll go over this shit tomorrow. So he's been on this drunk tirade, but we really know why he's angry. Because she's finally getting herself a title fight and didn't include Desi in the decision. And he's like, of all people, you gonna trust Immaculate over me? Basically, just hating. But she basically told him he was incompetent because he made her take that fight back then, an opponent she knew she wasn't going to beat anyway, but she wasn't ready for. See, Immaculate always thought he was an incompetent promoter, and Desi wasn't really pushing her to get back in the game after like 4 years. He would say things here and there, but he really didn't mean it. But he wasn't doing it for her pride or anything, it was basically for her to get money. Then Desi spazzes out, takes the damn Casio away from Manny, because basically he's just angry on a drunken tirade and just bitter. And he ends up hitting her against the wall. That's the first time he's ever hit her. It's like, dude, what the fuck? And he ends up destroying the Casio. So Jackie's like, fuck this at this point. Her and Manny end up moving out. So where she end up going? The one place she never wanted to go. Back to her mom's house. More training. Later on, she's walking down the street. She sees somebody playing a violin. Little young kid. And she gives her tip money. Then she meets up with Bobby. And Bobby tells Jackie that she's been sober for like the last 10 years. So Bobby's past is she had a wife. Didn't work out. They had a kid together. She took the kid. She hadn't seen her kid in 2 years. So at this point, the vibe is really chill when it comes to a trainer and student. It's a very relaxed atmosphere for the first time in this movie. Next day, she tells her she gotta go straight to the gym and Immaculate's coming to see her train. And then Manny gets real sad all of a sudden. Because he's walking past a radio store and it starts playing that song Will Smith, Just the Two of Us. He's obviously thinking about his dad. So she wants to take him somewhere to get his mind off it. They end up going to see a movie, which she ended up falling asleep on and being late to training. So when Jackie gets back to her mom's apartment, her mom's supposed to have a date. She said, just do me a favor, just don't be bringing any dudes home. Now this is mom's house, she can do what she want, but why is she so adamant about her not bringing no guys in the house? Well, apparently when she was younger, every guy that she would bring into the house ended up raping her, including her cousin. So mom either thought it was bullshit, she probably just forgot, or was trying to convince herself none of that shit ever happened. So they got the beef in and Jackie and Manny ended up leaving. Now with really nowhere else to turn to, she goes to Bobby. Yeah, that's what it is. So apparently Manny can't sleep. Jackie's got a picture of the fight card, and she gives it to Manny. And Manny still has not said one word the entire movie. The fight of all fights is happening. Next day she comes to training, Immaculate basically berates her for missing a day of training, and basically his true colors come out. He's treating her more like property than a fighter. He just wants to make the money to gusto off all this shit. He doesn't believe she can come back after 4 years and beat the lady killer. But she ain't worried about that. She gonna prove everybody wrong, including Immaculate. Later on, she takes Manny to get something to eat, but she's gotta go to the bathroom. She goes in there and she starts having a panic attack. Probably the same way she felt when she ran out of her last fight. Manny got so scared that he basically ran off. So she basically comes out the bathroom like, where the fuck is Manny at? She is searching all over the place for him. Come to find out, Manny ended up coming back to her mom's house. So Jackie's just trying to get her son back by any means necessary. Her mom's like, look, you homeless and you ain't well together right now. She's like, bottom line, he's staying here. Don't make me call Child Protective Services and shit. So with literally no other choice to make, she's got to make sure that Manny stays there. She starts working harder than ever on her training. Bobby found out she was still at the gym. She's like, okay, let's get it. Get to that classic ice bath. Then they get to talking. She tells her the reason why she was named Pretty Bull, because that was the last thing her dad said to her when she was like 5 years old. Then she tells her the reason why she jumped the cage in the fight she lost. It's because she ended up seeing Manny right before the fight. So at that point, Manny was like 2 years old, and she basically abandoned her kid back then. So everybody just called her a runner because all she did was run. She ran from her family, she ran from the last fight. So Bobby's like, fuck all that shit, you ain't doing no more running. You staying in the fight. They end up kissing, and she ends up giving her the business. On a spiritual sense, I guess, because I don't know, you know what I'm saying? Don't get me started on that woman-on-woman, man-on-man conversation. I'm not doing that. Y'all know I'm not politically correct. Fuck out of here. Anyway, then we get the whole training montage. I mean, if you've seen Rocky and Karate Kid and movies like that, you know what I'm talking about. And then we got the weigh-in, the Pretty Bull, and the lady killer. Go ahead and sell the fight. You know what I'm saying? Act like you gonna swing. You know, do all that. Yeah, your classic. Sell the fight. Her and her trainer end up getting together. And she tells her she wasn't trying to pursue a relationship right now. She's not ready for that. She's got to work on herself. Be able to stand on her own 2 feet and all that shit. But she feeling some type of way because this is the only time she's ever dated a fighter. Especially one that she's training. But we all know the golden rule. You never mix business and personal. That's something you just don't do. Now, before she leaves out, she's looking at these bottles. Now, wait a minute. We know Jackie's not drinking because she's been training and all that stuff. And Bobby's not drinking because she's been sober for like a decade. So why the fuck are there liquor bottles even in the hotel to begin with? Nevertheless, she ends up taking a full bottle with her and leaving. Anyway, time for the main event, Jackie. Ready to take on Lucia. The beef is real. Bottom line, Jackie's 10-1. Undefeated champ, Lady Killer 18-0. Jackie's strength is ground and pound. Lady Killer's strength is kicks. Manny tried to watch the fight, but Mom sent her in the room, and then Mom ended up watching the fight. It was a back and forth competition, but you wanna know who won the fight? I ain't spoiling that part. You better find out for yourself and watch the movie. Nah, for real though, the fight was pretty damn good. They were booing her at first at the strength of what happened 4 years ago, but the fight she put up, they had to give her respect, and they were chanting her name all over the arena. During the fight, her trainer Bobby never showed up. And the next time she sees her arm in a sling all messed up. We're like, what the fuck happened to you? But they never really explained that. So she's got enough prize money to get Manny, they're gonna get themselves an apartment. And then Manny finally speaks to Jackie, telling him thank you. At this point, she was just so happy just to hear him speak. So my thing was, they never really explained what happened to the father, other than the fact that he did get killed, but they didn't really go into detail about that. I mean, I get why Desi was acting like an asshole, but it was like unnecessary. They never explained what happened to Bobby, other than the fact you look at her and say, hey, you shouldn't be drinking. I guess we can come with our own conclusions, honestly. Bruised on Netflix. Check it out. Like, subscribe, do all that. You already know what time it is. Look easy, all easy, mister. Big. You got that slogan.